As I'm sure most of you know, the U.S. military is the largest polluting institution on planet Earth. So the problems of militarism and the need for climate justice go hand in hand. And I think that's perfect because our next speaker is from one of the most important new climate groups out there right now. He's representing the Sunrise movement. Everybody knows about Sunrise, right? So I'll let him tell you. Keep the applause going for my friend Nick Rabb from Sunrise, Boston.
Thanks so much, Brian. And Eric, I would say you should improvise more, because that was awesome. All right, hey y'all. I mean, Brian basically gave my whole talk for me in advance, which is awesome. So I'm gonna keep going on that theme. My name's Nick. I'm a member of the Sunrise movement from our Boston hub. We're a big decentralized movement. We've got hubs all over the country, and I'm from the Boston one. So I just want to start today because I think one of the most important ideas and feelings that young people bring to this conversation, because Sunrise is a youth-led movement, is visioning, right? Dreaming. All too often, because we have to live through this bullshit world, we're forced into mentalities that lead us to say, oh, we can't have that. Oh, we can't do that. That's just the way it is, right? But young people, we don't have that kind of, lifelong indoctrination that gets beat into us over our entire lives for having to deal with this stuff. So I want to lead us in a bit of visioning. So there's a great quote that I love from our comrade Noam Chomsky, where he says, "Tax day should be a day of celebration." Right? When else do we collectively get together to use our resources to fund the things that are important to everybody? Right? Imagine that. Imagine if on tax day we weren't out here saying, wow, this sucks. Wow, this is fucked up. Sorry. Or, hey, these are legitimate issues, so it's good that we speak to them. But what if we could have a day where we all came together to celebrate that we were collectively funding the things that we know we all need? Right? And that's not what we have. Right, in the climate space, right, Biden's budget for 2022, his proposed budget, only has $14 billion for what he calls climate change investments, right, compared to the $753 billion for defense. It's a tiny, tiny fraction. In climate specifically, fossil fuel subsidies are about $20 billion per year of tax subsidies, and that's not including millions of dollars in research and development into coal and gas. Most of the Department of Energy budget doesn't go to energy, it goes to nuclear weapons. Right, in 2020, the DOE budget of $38 billion, $24 billion of it was for nuclear weapons. And the piece of the budget allocated for renewables in 2020 was only $2.7 billion. And in 2022, Biden is running on this big increase in renewables, right? We're gonna fight climate change, we're gonna do all this great stuff. It's only about $12 billion. Compared to the $753 billion military budget. And you could say Biden's American Jobs Plan and American Families Plan are steps in the right direction, where he called for eliminating tax preferences for fossil fuels, which is great, right? Get rid of the fossil fuel subsidies, but it's not enough. Right? It raises taxes on the ultra-wealthy, which is great, but it does nothing to change what is the year-to-year priority. Right? We don't want to have to spend tons of money every year in emergency stimulus to fund the things that should be funded from the first place every single year, right? We need a shift in priorities, and doing that includes dreaming up what we want to spend that enormous sum of money on as a society, right? What would you want to celebrate on tax day? Right? There are already plans that put forward bolder visions, right? The Green New Deal advocates, yeah, clap for that shit. Yeah, the Green New Deal puts forward a vision where instead of bailing out the country and building renewable infrastructure that benefits private corporations, that it would be community and publicly owned and governed. Right, that we would have community food production, right? Get rid of food deserts. We have the Green New Deal for public housing that would build affordable housing up to the highest renewable energy standards and neighborhoods would be designed around recreational space, designed around community and diversity, and ending the damage done by historical redlining and other policies. Right? And the Green New Deal is not the only thing. We have the Thrive Act, right? Which calls for $1 trillion of investment in climate every year for 10 years. That money is already there, right? It takes a shift of priorities. It calls for investments for clean water, affordable public transit, a reliable energy grid, wind and solar energy, healthy buildings, rural and urban spaces, protecting wetlands, prairies, forests, support for family farms, investing in public institutions, and taking care of children and the elderly. These are the things that we need to hold in mind when we say we want to set our priorities in this direction. And locally, I don't know if you're all tuned into it, but the Massachusetts Renews Alliance has bills for these types of things. The Jobs and Justice Bill starts to put more money into this priority of paying job. And the Food Justice Bill starts to put money into the priority of actually achieving healthy food for everybody that doesn't have to come from these crazy big agribusiness corporations. And there are visions that are even bigger than the Green New Deal. I just want to uplift that Sunrise is not the only organization working on this. We may be a bunch of young people doing this, but we're not the only ones. You can take a look at the Red Deal, right? Put out by the Red Nation for indigenous power building, indigenous organizing. They connect the dots to say that things like Palestine are actually crucial to climate justice. They connect the dots and say that we need to heal our bodies, right? Invest in citizenship and equal rights for everybody. Invest in non-carceral mental health support, right? Healthy, sustainable food and ending gender, sexual, and domestic violence. These are climate fights. It doesn't just end with renewables. And we have things like the Red, Black, and Green New Deal just put out by the Movement for Black Lives that goes forward to say we need to dream bolder. We need to declare water as a human right. Right? We need to declare energy as a human right. These things can't just be governed by private corporations. When Biden builds back better, it can't be controlled by those powers who are totally unaccountable. It should be controlled by us. It should be guaranteed for everybody. So when we think of how to reallocate the resources, I just want to call on you all to dream big. Right? That dreaming is infectious. That's what gets us over the line. People resonate with that. So hopefully in a handful of years, tax day can be a celebration. Thanks so much, everybody.
Keep it going for Nick. Keep it going for Sunrise.